Well, hey, everybody, and welcome to the Daily Bible Podcast presented by Saint Church. And my name is Caleb, and our hope is to help people study the Word of God every single day. Every day, we're uploading episodes onto Spotify, Apple, and YouTube, where we are taking time to read a chapter of the Bible, look at the context it was written in, and see what it has to say for us today. And we try to always do that in 18 minutes or less. And today, we are taking time to continue on in the book of Nehemiah. We are going to be in Nehemiah Chapter 6. Now, really quick, before we fully dive in, I just want to make sure to throw this out there. If you guys are on Apple and Spotify and you end up enjoying this episode, I just want to say, if you don't mind leaving a rating or a review at the end of the podcast, it'd be huge to help people know they can trust this show. If you guys are on YouTube and you enjoy it, take a second, like the video, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on what's coming up and all those good things. But with that being said, let's dive on in. We are in Nehemiah Chapter 6. Now, just to refresh your memory really fast, the book of Nehemiah is taking place when the people of Israel have been in exile. They were taken into exile, and during their time, they end up having it where the people of Persia end up ruling over them. We see that they have the opportunity to then start returning to Jerusalem, returning to the land that they had been taken from. Yet during this time, there's a man named Nehemiah who hears the fact that the walls of Jerusalem are still in rubble. They've still been torn down. And Nehemiah, his heart breaks for this. He wants to go and build back up the walls so that the city can be defended, so that the people can be safe, so that they can show that they are rising back up. And so Nehemiah gets the blessing from the king. He's given the opportunity to set out. He goes, he starts to rebuild the walls, but not everybody likes that. And we're going to see the fact that people are in opposition of what Nehemiah is doing. Now, mind you, really quick, before we even read this, Nehemiah has the blessing of the king of the land to go and do this. So he's not doing anything out of order or out of line of what he was said he could do. He is gone, he has had the blessing, and he's going to do this. But guess what? People still want to stop him. So let's see what happens when these people try to give opposition to Nehemiah in the work that he is doing on behalf of the Lord for the people of God in Jerusalem. It says this, Nehemiah 6, verse 1, it reads like this. When word came to Sanballat, Tobiah, Geshem the Arab, and the rest of our enemies that I had rebuilt the wall, and not a gap was left in it, though up to that time I had not set the doors and the gates, Sanballat and Geshem sent me this message, come, let us meet together in one of the villages on the plain of Ono. But they were scheming to harm me. So I sent messengers to them with this reply. I am carrying on a great project and cannot go down. Why should the work stop while I leave it and go down to you? 4 times they sent me the same message, and each time I gave them the same answer. Then, the 5th time, Sanballat sent his aide to me with the same message, and in his hand was an unsealed letter, in which was written, it is reported among the nations, and Geshem says it is true, that you and the Jews are plotting to revolt, and therefore you are building a wall. Moreover, according to these reports, you are about to become their king, and have been appointed prophet to make this proclamation about you in Jerusalem. There is a king in Judah. Now this report will get back to the king, so come, let us meet together. I sent him this reply. Nothing like what you are saying is happening. You are just making it up out of your head. They were all trying to frighten us, thinking their hands will get too weak for the work and it will not be completed. But I prayed, now strengthen my hands. One day I went to the house of Shemaiah, son of Delilah, the son of Metabel, who was shut in at his home. He said, let us meet up in the house of God inside the temple, and let us close the temple doors, because men are coming to kill you. By night they are coming to kill you. But I said, should a man like me run away? Or should someone like me go into the temple to save his life? I will not go. I realized that God had not sent him, but that he had prophesied against me, because Tobiah and Sanballat had hired him. He had been hired to intimidate me so that I would commit a sin by doing this. And then they would give me a bad name to discredit me. Remember, Tobiah and Shambalot, my God, because of what they have done, remember also the prophet Noadiah and how she and the rest of the prophets have been trying to intimidate me. So the wall was completed on the 25th of Elul in 52 days. When all our enemies heard about this, all the surrounding nations were afraid and lost their self-confidence because they realized that this work had been done with the help of our God. Also, in those days, the nobles of Judah were sending many letters to Tobiah, and replies from Tobiah kept coming to them. For many in Judah were under oath to him, since he was son-in-law to Shenachiah, son of Arah. And his son, Jehohanan, had married the daughter of Methulam, son of Berechiah. Moreover, they kept reporting to me his good deeds and then telling him what I said, and Tobiah sent letters to intimidate me. And that's the close of Nehemiah chapter 6. And we're going to see that Nehemiah 7 tomorrow is continuing on in what that portion of the chapter ended on. But right now we got to lean in really quick because a lot of stuff just happened that would be so easy to miss. So when we look at Nehemiah and his work, the things that he is doing, Nehemiah has set out to rebuild the wall. At this point, he is being so particular in his reporting of what is happening. He is making sure they know exactly where he's at in the process. And so as these people are starting to raise up and they're starting to try to create a problem for Nehemiah, he looks around and he says, all right, the walls have been rebuilt. The gates have not yet been set, but these people are getting uncomfortable. Now, here is the issue. These people are having to make up lies because Nehemiah has the blessing of the king to go and rebuild these walls. So if they try to go to the king and they try to say, hey, Nehemiah is trying to rise up. That's what their accusations are coming to be. They are looking and they are saying Nehemiah is trying to raise up the people to be in Jerusalem so that he can be king over Judah. That's not Nehemiah's goal. That's not what he's trying to do. He's just trying to help reestablish his people to have a place of security and a place that they can live and reside and worship and honor God. Yet these people, they're trying to get Nehemiah to step out of line. They're trying to get him to do one small thing even that would allow them to have either grounds to go to the king and to be able to say, king, look at this. This isn't okay. You should go and you should stop Nehemiah. Or they're trying to get Nehemiah to do something that would allow them to get the Jewish people to not trust him anymore. So whether it's from an outside source or from the inside of their people, he is trying to fight against these people. Nehemiah is trying to fight against these people that are wanting to sow disunity. They're trying to cause the people to split, to separate. Yet what do we see Nehemiah do so well? He is above reproach. He's above reproach, and it goes all the way back to the very beginning of this journey. He started on right footing. He started with wisdom. He started with a goal that he set out on, and he made sure to operate well within, so that when these guys come and they're trying to oppose Nehemiah, they got nothing. They got nothing that they are able to say or do to him that would make it where he is not able to stand rightly before his people or before the king of the land. And so Nehemiah, he just doesn't even put up with it. When these guys they try to send him a letter to intimidate and to say, hey, we're going to tell the king that you're building this up so that you can rule and you can be king. Man, he's so wise because he's able just to look and say, you guys are lying. You're lying. You're making stuff up. Now, this is something that, man, can we take some notes on? Because we end up seeing that Nehemiah in 52 days rebuilt the walls of Jerusalem. It's incredible. It's incredible. He looks and he rallies the people to do this thing, and the surrounding nations and people, they're getting worried. They're getting perplexed at how these people would be able to have such motivation to be able to do this, even in facing the threats of danger. Yet what was the reality? They were walking with God. God caused unity to be set amongst the people. He blessed Nehemiah to be able to lead with wisdom, and we end up seeing that they were walking in line with what God had. So they went at it's kind of a jokey saying that people have said before, but they were going at the pace of grace. They were going at the pace that God equipped them to be able to go. So they did so, and they did it well. They did it well. Here's the deal for you and I today. When we read through this portion of Nehemiah's story, can I just tell you really quick, this is why it matters. You live above reproach. You live above the possibility of accusations, because Nehemiah in this moment can stand firmly. Why? Because he has a firm foundation, because he's up front, he's right standing, he's doing stuff the proper way. He even is willing to live by the law of the land that he is in, so that the king is not able to hear false allegations and think anything of him. Why was Nehemiah not worried at all about people reporting to the king that he was rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem? Because he got permission from the king to do it, because he was doing it in right standing. See, here's the deal for you and I. When God asks us to do something, when we feel led to step out, we got to do it right. Why? So that we can stand firm. You got to do it right. You got to do it with righteousness in mind. You got to do it in a way that honors God and it honors the people around you. That's what Nehemiah did. That's what allowed him, when people tried to tear him down, to stand there and say, you got nothing on me, because there's nothing for you to have. Now, that doesn't mean you're not somebody who has a past. It doesn't mean that you don't make mistakes. But what it does mean is that when the main thing, you kept it in line, or from this moment on, you've kept it in line. You've made sure to honor God. You've made sure to live honorably. You've made sure to care about holiness. We've talked about this on the podcast before. Holiness is not greater than thou-ness. Holiness means to be set apart. It's to be set apart. When we end up looking at our neighbors and the people around us, people even who don't follow after Jesus, there's a reality that living a holy life is not living a greater life, it's living a set apart life. I've used this example before. When you would look at the temple, you would see that they had bowls. They had bowls in the temple that were set apart for particular use. Were those bowls in form any different than bowls that would give water to an animal? No. In form, they're a bowl. Yet in practice, they were set apart for particular purposes for the Lord. And so for us, what must we do? Man, we better at least be willing to be like a bowl and be set apart. It's not looking around at those around us and saying, I'm better than you. No, that is not it. But it's looking around and saying, I've been set apart for a particular purpose, and I'm going to honor that. That's something that Nehemiah knew so well, so that when opposition arose, he was able to stand firmly rooted and planted, knowing that the accusations weren't just false, but also had no merit to ever be believed, because the king who would have been hearing these accusations would have looked and said, I gave him the blessing. I gave him the blessing. I gave it to him so long ago. You guys don't realize that I'm in on it. That's what he would be saying. So for you and I today, what do we got to do? If God has asked us to do something, you better do it, not at the pace that you want to go at, but at the pace of grace that honors God, that honors the systems and the routines and the methods and the moment that you are living in. But make sure that you do it in a way so that God receives all the glory, because that's what happened for Nehemiah and for the Jewish people that built the walls of Jerusalem in 52 days. It's an incredible thing. And so today, you guys, That's what I got for you. Do things the right way, because when people try to oppose you, they got no ground to stand on. You know what's better than being worried about things being dug up, knowing that there's nothing to hide, that there's nothing you have to worry about. So today, I want to encourage you to walk set apart for God and ensure that you honor Him in what you do. You guys, that's what I got for today, though. I don't want to belabor this. I don't want to take too long. So that's what I got for you. And I want to say thank you for jumping on once again, really quick and really fast. If you're on YouTube or Spotify and you got any questions, comment them. Let us know what you are wondering, because we want to be able to talk about things. We want clarity, not confusion. If you enjoyed the podcast, man, make sure to subscribe on YouTube, to follow along on Apple and Spotify. If you don't mind leaving a rating or review, it's an incredible thing that helps people to know they can trust this content. If you're on YouTube, subscribe, leave a like, all those great things. It again just helps people to find this content. And you guys, with all that being said, though, I'm so glad you jumped on today. I'm glad you're taking time to study the Word of God. But man, this is the Daily Bible Podcast. So I can't wait to see you tomorrow, because we're going to be taking time to study the Word of God every single day.